Hello and welcome to the Redhead and the Bearded Beauty. I am the Bearded Beauty.
I'm the Redhead.
And last night we had our social media town hall for the budget. We went live for that, our first time going live.
I know, it was good. I was distracted. Sorry, I'm distracted just now. Someone just asked me for the newsletter where they could listen to this exact podcast.
So I was responding, yeah. Very nice. Well, that's worth taking time to respond to that.
It was a little bit meta that I was talking about the podcast while we're filming the podcast.
And last night I think you were more trying to respond to residents.
I was distracted because I'm like, it's slow for part of it, and then you get like a blitzkrieg of like responses and stuff. So I'm like, I want to be responsive, but I want to do this. But yeah. We're thinking about just doing a Facebook Live next year.
Yeah, and just taking questions and having different people on the show and talk about different aspects of the city. So I think that would be good. Yeah, something different.
I said Facebook Live, like just live. Maybe partnering with somebody. So stay tuned. But
we'll see on that. So I thought things went well last night. It like you said, it did start off kind of slow. I mean, the first 20 minutes or so, it was a couple of comments coming in. You keep hitting refresh or looking for comments, and it just had a couple, and then when we decided to go live, that's when things started blowing up.
And we, it depends on the year. The years that we have to cut things, we usually see more engagement. This year, we're prioritizing what to spend more money on, which is difficult in and of itself. But when we have to cut, I think that's when we see the most. Yeah,
I know several years back, we were looking at cutting the mowing.
The mowing
team. I can't even remember what year that was.
We were looking at cutting mowing.
We were cutting mowing. I did that on purpose.
I like that. That was good.
So good that I don't even know when I'm making puns. So I mean, we had back then. It wasn't even social media town hall. People would just show up to the council meetings in droves to comment on that.
Talk about it.
Yeah. But it's those type of events and. We're always looking for different ways to reach people and say, hey, we want your feedback.
Yeah.
So
it's it's budget. Not everyone is that interested, but it really does set the priorities and values of the city on what we spend money on. And the council has a really hard time because this is their biggest. I'm gonna make an argument that this is their biggest job is setting the budget. And that kind of dictates what the rest of us here do for the rest of the year. So, yeah, very much so.
So you're not a big sit down and read the entire budget book that's about, that thick?
It's so huge. And you know what? I skim it now ever since I joined the city. And I definitely look at the infographics and stuff. There's so much.
Yeah, there's quite a bit to take in. And if you don't know, a lot about how the city is organized and operated, some of it can be kind of confusing and challenging to put together. Oh, where does this go? Where does that go? So,
and there's no easy way to condense a lot of it. It's just this is just lengthy information that you just have to buckle down and get through. But but important stuff. I have a bone to pick with you.
With me?
Yeah, I'm upset with you, and I decided to bring it to this format to address it.
And not tell me beforehand.
No.
I appreciate that.
I decided to spring it on you.
Okay.
So you help the cops with their podcast.
I do.
Coffee Break. It's great.
Yes.
It's fun.
Is it? Really?
I mean, it's great. It's a great way to learn about the individuals serving the community.
Yes.
Especially the last episode. So I'm just putting this out there that you had a special guest on the last episode and no one told me.
I didn't know about it until I got to the studio.
Well, I feel like it warranted a phone call to me.
Next time I will. I think the next podcast we're recording, they're bringing another.
I know this because I also called Chad about this. I called Chad and I was upset with him as well. There was a dog. You need to go check it out. It was Arson Canine. No, not Arson Canine. That's Fire.
I can't remember if he's on the bomb detection. Man, you should think I would remember this.
No,
but I know he sniffs for shells,
casings, and all that stuff. So. Yeah, and he was super cute. And there should be a rule. We should probably codify it that anytime there's an animal inside City Hall, I need to be alerted.
You have brought several animals into City Hall.
Security is done with me. They are over me. I just. Yeah,
and
I feel really bad.
Not just dogs and cats either.
No, we've brought a goat, a baby pig, falcons before.
Yeah.
From Great Plains Nature Center. I'm also planning on bringing some insects and some other things because Moth Mania at Great Plains Nature Center is coming up, and I love all creatures.
We got to tell the mayor he can't eat these, right?
Yeah,
Like
he can't eat them. He can't kiss them.
Okay.
The insects are probably off limits.
Just to reference so everybody knows what we're talking
Yes.
about there. Don't want everybody thinking he just goes and eats insects.
Or kisses barnyard. No, there was a fundraiser with the Mental Health Coalition. He kissed a pig if they raised a certain amount of funds, and
then Botanica had something where you could go eat insects. Yes. And they were had different flavors and that sort of thing. So.
Yeah, and they were deceased, but yes. It's a whole thing. So
please continue.
Yeah, so we've brought a tortoise and like little turtles and things before for like meetings, and that was over talking about our ordinance that actually turtles are illegal in city of Wichita to have pet turtles.
Really?
They are, yeah. I'm not going to express my opinion on that ordinance as a city employee, but
yeah, we should probably stay quiet on that one.
Probably stay quiet. I'm going to stay in my shell on that one.
Oh yes, very good.
Mm-hmm.
No, that was very good.
Yeah,
so
that was fine. But yeah.
Yeah. They are pretty cute. Baby turtles.
They
are
cute. So cute. But yeah, it's just an old ordinance that's still out there. But yeah, so security's done with me. I feel really bad. I'm sorry, Mark and team. So
very good. Also, speaking of picking bones, I didn't know that you're going to be picking something with me. I didn't have anything on you. I might come up with something here.
I feel like there's lots of things for you
I'll have something
to choose from.
But I'm going to go back to our last episode. Dave. Shannon's boyfriend, Dave.
Listen, Dave, we're done with you.
Dave,
we got some feedback after that episode.
Yes.
Kathy wrote into social@wichita.gov, and she agreed with us that grilling hot dogs was the only way to do it. So Dave is the only person
who don't microwave hot
it.
dogs.
This is a civilized society, and we don't accept that kind of behavior. That's what should be against ordinance, not turtles.
Yes.
Is microwaving hot dogs.
Exactly. These are the important issues that our citizens want taken care of.
These are the important issues.
Yes.
But we're doing nothing about it.
So how long do you like your hot dog? A little charred?
I like it a little charred.
Yeah.
I'm extra, and I like it a little charred, and I like it split down the middle with cheese inside of it.
Ouch.
I like cheese. There's very few things that I like as much as cheese, but...
Cheese on a burger, okay. Cheese on a hot dog.
You don't even know.
Maybe when we have our group little cookout and hang out with Jim, our boss, maybe we can try it, but I just don't know about that.
No. First of all, it's just elite. Anything is better with cheese. I think very few things couldn't be improved with cheese. But it's elite. It's very good.
My daughter, speaking of cheese, you would think I would raise her better. On her burgers, no cheese. No cheese on a burger, no ketchup, no mustard. She likes just the burger and the bun.
That sounds like a Jason thing. He likes a plain sandwich, no mayonnaise or anything like that. But he does like ketchup and cheese. Yeah,
she likes it plain. So wherever we got to go to a restaurant, that's her only thing she'll order. Maybe a cheese quesadilla once in a while, which she likes cheese there, but not on a burger. But yeah, we have to explain no lettuce, no nothing. Just burger and bun. So.
Wow, that's crazy.
Speaking of burgers and hot dogs, and we're going to have time to grill, not microwave those items here coming up for the 4th of July.
4th of July.
Also with 4th of July, we talked about this last week, but always need the reminder, fireworks and firework safety.
Yeah, firework safety. Douse your fireworks with water completely, because that's when we see most of the fires. It's not the illegal stuff as much as it is just people not dousing the fireworks that they shoot off with water, and then they put it in their trash can, put it in their garage, then it catches fire.
Since I've been working with the city and doing these PSAs with the fire department for however many years now.
You're an expert now.
I'm an expert in this, and I think I go overboard in my house. I'm even watering my lawn prior to shooting off fireworks.
I do that too. Yeah.
And then I've got the big bucket of water out there for the fireworks, and I'm probably the fun killer because as we shoot stuff off,
you're dousing it and stuff.
Well, I let them cool a little bit so I can pick them up and then boom right away. So even before we're done shooting them off, I'm putting them in the bucket of water. So.
You're basically a firefighter. Have you done their like simulation where you go out there and do the training camp and stuff?
I haven't. I need to do that. They once gave me my own bunker gear because I rode along with them so much.
That's cool.
So I had my own gear, and I think the time you went and went through that process,
you weren't available or something.
I was out there, but I I was recording it.
Yes, you were recording it.
Yeah. But when I think our boss at the time, Elise, she had gone in with the hose and so I went in the box. I'm like, okay, it's not too smoky. I'll go right around the corner. And then the smoke starts coming out. And I'm like, okay, I need to get out of here. Yeah. And then I'm going down a little hallway and flames are shooting up over the wall right towards the entryway.
That was really cool.
This was a bad decision.
No, but it was so cool. And like, I did well throughout this time. So we had 2 people. It was a group of like 5, and you do the whole like CPR deal, and you're doing it, and so you have to rotate. But 2 of our folks couldn't do the CPR, so it was me, the council member at the time, and another individual, and so it was just the 3 of us rotating. My arms have never been that sore. I didn't realize how taxing that was. So I did fine on the whole thing. Only when we went into the fire, I did my own mask because I'm stubborn. And they're like, oh, is it good? And I'm like, of course it's good. Don't worry about me. And then I'm like sucking in ash and stuff. And my throat was sore for days afterwards. So yeah, I'm not a good firefighter, it turns out.
Another time, I know they're not pleased when you take off your air pack.
Oh yeah.
And just leave it somewhere.
Ooh.
So once I had suited up and went in, I think they were doing their Wichita Hot where they train fire departments from around the country. And they gave me gear to go in with them, and I did that. And then I was like, okay, I need to get this off and go shoot something else. Well, I forgot that the emergency alert is attached to that.
Oh, no.
And so if it stays still for too long, like even if it's on you, if you're not moving and shaking, it starts alerting, hey, there's a firefighter down. And so I just went and dumped it somewhere.
Oh, no.
And people, they were like, oh, we have somebody down.
We got to save Tyler.
Yeah. So I found out you don't do that.
Yeah, no, it was a cool experience because you know that they're skilled and do a lot of training, but there's just so much that goes into it. The zero visibility where you're in the smoke-filled house and you can't see anything, and it's just, and you're trying to search and rescue and stuff. And I'm not the most coordinated or graceful of creatures, so it struggled.
We should put a GoPro on you as you're going through the smokehouse.
Night vision. Yeah, we should have. And the guy who showed us how to do it, he showed us before the house filled with smoke, and he's everywhere and he's searching everywhere and just very like athletic and searching everywhere. And then I try to do it. I'm just like, is it there? Is it here? And just gingerly like
Am I going to go off the steps?
Yeah, I missed the baby completely. Ooh. So yeah, you don't want me fighting your fires, but we have great people who do fight fires. So thankfully they're out there and not me.
Yes, and hopefully they don't need to see you this 4th of July.
Yeah, gosh, no, that would be horrible. I'm the crazy person standing out in my yard, like spraying down my roof too, trying to reach it up as high as I can.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's scary. I'm scared of like fireworks landing on my house.
Yeah, I will say, we have lots of large mortar shell types being shot in our neighborhood. I mean, they're all over the city. Yeah. We don't encourage that. They're not legal. Anything that goes over 6 feet high is not legal.
Don't do it
in the city limits. So, yeah. What else? Nothing that emits flaming balls. That's another one that we always love talking about every year.
That's a good one that Jose gets to talk about all the time. So he does a good job.
I'm glad he's the one that has to say that on camera.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. There's a lot of things that we have to talk about from time to time that are just like kind of silly that you have to say. Like this time last year, it was the tombstones and rivers. Yes. Memorable times.
So yeah.
We did get some kudos that the manager shared with me. There's some interviews going on right now for an assistant city manager. I hope that's public.
Yes, for economic development or development services, taking former assistant city manager Scott Rigby's place.
Yes, yeah, he's now the city manager down in Edmond,
Oklahoma.
Yeah, shout out to Edmond.
So I apologize for last week, Scott, for knocking Oklahoma roads.
Yeah, sorry. But yeah, apparently one of the candidates mentioned that they had been watching our podcast. So and thought it was a great way to inform the community, making him the maybe 3rd person outside of City Hall who watches this. So
thanks, Mom.
Thanks. Yeah. I think my mom watches too, and then my my brother's mother-in-law also watches. So that's awesome.
Hey, we know our viewers. We're in touch with our viewers.
Very much so.
And Lonnie.
Yes. Lonnie watches, and Lonnie has a problem with me blocking my face, which I do on purpose, just for you, Lonnie.
Yes, Lonnie, it bothers me too. Since you brought that up, I before each one, I'm trying to reach over and pull her microphone down.
And I adjust it back worse on purpose.
And before shooting, she was trying to take her earpiece where she can hear our video producer, Nolan, back in the booth. She was draping it over it, and I'm like, I'm tweaking out over here.
I know.
I can't.
It really bothers him.
Yes.
So I like to do it even more. Yeah.
Yes. So.
Yeah.
We got a very exciting guest. I know it's a topic people just love to hear about is budget. But Elizabeth is very knowledgeable about budget and all things city finance.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, should we take a break and bring in Elizabeth?
Bring Elizabeth.
All right. We'll be right back.
All right, so we're back. We are here with Elizabeth Goldtree. Elizabeth, what is your full title?
I'm the budget officer for the city of Wichita in the finance department.
This is your time to shine.
It's my time to shine. All right. It is that time of year. I feel like this time of year, lots of meetings, social media town hall, lots of city council meetings. It is that time of year for the budget office.
So do you get less sleep when you have a newborn or in budget season?
Yeah, so that's an interesting question. Both of my kids were born right after the budget was finished. In fact, my daughter was born the Friday after we adopted the budget one year. She was adopted on a Tuesday and then on a Friday, and she was born on a Friday. So it was just kind of a continuation of that. I just rolled from one to the next.
So you didn't sleep for like 2 years straight then?
Kind of, yeah, exactly. So I would say, we're doing fine this year with the budget process. 2020 was definitely a difficult time. We were suddenly found ourselves working remotely. A lot of facilities were closed, as far as forecasting revenue, a lot of things changing in the community. That was a hard year for the budget process. And then last year, as we were starting to recover and we received a lot of ARPA funding, that was another difficult year. This year, I think things are a little more predictable and stable, and I think people probably noticed that in the social media town hall. So this has been an easier year.
It's difficult in that there are so many great things that we want to fund. We heard that from the budget retreats with the council. Like there's a lot of things you want to fund, but we have limited resources. So really prioritizing those things. We are in a good place this year in that we can dedicate some more resources to things. That isn't the case every year. Might not be the case in the future, but for right now, we're in that good position. So, but then it's like all of these things are good ideas. All of them are things that we would love to fund, but we have to make those prioritizations.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly what we heard from the city council in the last retreat. Is they said this list is great. Let's fund everything on it. and I'm glad, between community feedback and listening to city council meetings and hearing their feedback, that we put together a good list for them to consider.
Yeah.
And what is. We have the ARPA funding through 2024, of course, but in 2025, we don't have that additional funding to help us with the budget process. So, that is something to consider. And the other thing, too, we're thinking of is that things have changed since 2019. For example, the library, they've had so many more digital downloads than they would have. They knew that was coming, but it came much faster than they expected. Yeah. So a lot of things like that, too, responding not just to the pandemic as a public health emergency, but also responding to how community priorities have changed during this time. So it's interesting and dynamic.
Yeah.
All right, before we get too much further along into this process, at the top of every show, we like to play a little game called Two Truths and a Lie. Are you prepared with your two truths and a lie?
I think I'm prepared.
All right, fire away.
Okay, so one is I have had the same phone number the whole time I've worked for the city of Wichita.
Like cell phone number?
Or just work phone number.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Okay.
Yeah. My second one is that I have an undergraduate degree in accounting. And my third one is that I'm on the pension board.
You are not on the pension board.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I thought Mark Manning was on the pension board?
I was just elected to the pension board.
Oh,
But it was for an unexpired term of somebody who left service. So yeah, I was just elected to the pension board.
Well, congratulations. Then
Yes.
I'm going to say it's your phone number. I'd say your phone number has changed.
My phone number is the same.
Okay, well, I fail. I failed today.
I've just moved around different cubes in the budget office for the last 16 years.
That's right. So your lie was your middle fact.
I did not get an undergraduate degree in accounting.
What was it in?
History.
History.
Yes.
Oh, how did you end up in your current position?
You're like, how did this happen? So
Should we be concerned?
The budget book does have a lot of writing, but so
History.
Yes.
Yeah, history. So I have a master's in public administration. So that was my on-ramp to this career. So there's a lot of courses with public finance and budgeting and things like that. So
Very good.
All right, very good.
Megan, you want to go next?
I can go next. Okay. Air quality is 20% worse than the national average in Wichita. Our pollution index is 95% better than the national average. And we have about 100 plus miles of walking and bike paths in Wichita.
I'm going to go with the first one, that our pollution is on average worse.
You would be correct. Our air quality is 21% better than the national average. We're in air quality season, and I'm like a big air quality like science data nerd. So
it's important.
It is important.
So where can people go to learn more about air quality?
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you asked. BeAirAware.org. BeAirAKS.org.
Yeah, there's even a mascot.
There's a
She's
mascot.
super cute.
You mean Beatrice?
Beatrice, yes.
The Steve, our graphic designer, did a wonderful job on Beatrice and also the animation, but it is kind of sad. It shows you what happens when bad air comes and Beatrice flies along in the little animation, and then bad air hits her and she dies. So it's kind of dark of us, really.
That was one of the more pleasant things about working from home is that I had these flowers that started growing and blooming, and then bees would come and butterflies, and it was a bright spot in a difficult time to watch them.
All right. I am also doing facts today. Since I figured we're talking finance and budget, let's do city facts that are budget related. So in 2021, the city repaired a little over 83,000 potholes. Also in 2021, we swept just under 25,000 linear miles of streets. And there are just under 20,000 streetlights in Wichita.
This is embarrassing because these are all probably from the performance measures report.
They are, and we've covered all of them in our briefings before.
And these are facts you should just be able to know right off the top of
Right,
your head.
they're probably even in our ACFR, in our annual report. Oh.
Okay, so what was the first one? How many potholes did you say?
A little over 83,000 potholes.
I think that's true.
That is true.
Yeah.
We swept just under 25,000 linear miles of streets, and there are just under 20,000 streetlights in the city of Wichita.
And that's tricky because it's signalized intersections or the actual bulbs or the traffic light heads.
So I'm thinking the third one, because Evergy owns our streetlights unless you're talking about signals.
I don't know. I was just giving this fact from our public works department. I didn't clarify if it was streetlights or
traffic signals.
Traffic signals. I'm assuming it's actual lights.
Okay, lights.
Yeah.
And yes, those are maintained by Evergy.
Yeah.
And there are over 28,000 streetlights.
Oh,
Wow.
so you lowballed us.
You did. Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
So, all right, Elizabeth, back to budget. So tell us a little bit about the process and how it works, how we kind of get things kicked off and where we go from there.
Yeah, sure. So we start off the budget year in January. So one common question we get actually about the budget is, what is our calendar? Are we on a calendar year or a fiscal year? Because a lot of governments are on a fiscal year. We're actually on a calendar year, and we start our year January 1st. So when our new year starts, we start budgeting for next year. Mm-hmm. So we take a snapshot of current employee demographics, and we start looking back at what happened last year, and we start projecting out early in the year, and get that all ready. We provide materials to departments, but what we're really driving at is that first city council budget retreat that ordinarily happens in April. So that's our first time to give them a a first preview of our revenue outlook, our expenditure forecasts and such, and then start talking about budget options.
So we shared on social. We try to do a lot of education around the budget. It's a very complicated subject. So what are some of our main sources of revenue for the city organization?
Yeah, so that's a great question. We have a lot of funds too. So different funds have different revenue sources. So for the water and sewer funds, the largest source of revenue is charges for services. So utility bills. Yeah, exactly. Same with stormwater. For the general fund, which is our big governmental fund that funds those core government services like fire and police, parks and library. The biggest source of revenue are property tax, then franchise fees, and sales tax.
What is a franchise fee? Could you explain that?
It's not for going to McDonald's.
Right.
So franchise fee, it's a fee that's on a utility ratepayer's bill. It's for the utilities, for them to access the right-of-way. So you see it in electricity, natural gas, because they operate in our right-of-way, those pipes and poles and such.
What about we all used to have, well, I don't know about everyone watching this. I'm old now, but we all used to have landlines and cable in our households, but a lot of households have cut those two amenities. Has that impacted our franchise fees?
Yes, it definitely does. I am blessed because both of my predecessors work within a stone's throw of my office, and so we have really great old data sets. And I peeked into how much we used to get every year in revenue for telephone franchise fees. Everyone had a phone.
Yeah, everyone did. And so as people have cut those, that's impacted the city budget.
It does, yeah. It impacts franchise fees definitely. And also with cable TV. Yeah. We receive franchise fees for cable TV and also the AT&T video service, but not for internet.
Okay. All right.
There you go. That could have been one of my truths and a lie. Be like,
I don't know. So as cities, and this has impacted not just Wichita, of course, but all cities. How are cities getting revenue with all of these cuts to franchise fees, which are a huge slice of how we get funds?
Yeah. When Mark Manning, our finance director, he presented this concept a few years ago, is 20th century revenues funding a 21st century budget. A lot of cities are a function of the state that they operate in, the rules that we follow for collecting revenue, what revenues that we can tax and things like that. So I think it depends from state to state. I've seen some different cities in different states are trying, taxing streaming services or internet and things like that. In our case, we haven't pursued anything like that at this point just because of the way,
So Kansas hasn't looked at ways to recoup some of those.
Yeah. And people also talk about cell phones. Yeah. Like, I don't have a telephone, but I have a cell phone. Why don't we have franchise fees on that? And the cell phone is different because the way they operate they don't operate in the right of way in the same way that a telephone line does. So it's interesting.
Yeah.
But it's something that there's a lot of that line franchise fees. There's a lot of different franchise fees that go into that line. So each of them behaves differently. And so as we forecast the revenue, we look at how those behave. And one thing that's on the upside is, every time you buy a new appliance or a new air conditioner or something like that, it is more efficient. And so too, just naturally, all the appliances that are in a given house are more efficient over time. So that would impact franchise fees also. So it's a good thing for consumers.
Yeah.
But it's something for us to be mindful of.
Yeah, very good. I've seen some comments on the social media town hall that why is so much of the city's budget for employees? Like you see that pie chart and a huge chunk of that pie is for employees. Can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, there's really two things going on there. But especially for the general fund, the services that we provide in the general fund they're provided by people. So police and fire, I think the fire budget's 95% people. Police is very high. Even parks and public works have a little more commodities and, contractual services. But generally those services are very people provided services.
I think you'd see that through any organization too. Your biggest piece of your pie on expenditures is probably people every single time.
And I think two things that intensify it on the general fund side is that most of our heavy equipment is through our CIP. So you might see in another police department line items for purchasing big trucks and stuff, but that we do in the CIP, so you would find it over there. And the other thing too is that our contracted street maintenance, so that's not less of the work order repairs, but more of the, we're going to go repave this street from this intersection to this intersection. That's also through our CIP, so you would find it over there.
Yeah.
So
I also got we got some questions about the debt service. Could you just explain why we have a debt service, and why do cities have a debt service?
Yeah. So we have a debt service fund. It's our second taxing fund at the city of Wichita. And it funds capital projects.
Like what?
So the Aquatics Master Plan, all those swimming pools that were rehabbed in the last few years.
So that's paid from our debt service
fund. Yes, exactly. Heavy apparatus, so
snow and fire.
Yes, those big snow trucks, the big dump trucks for snow, the big fire apparatus, the police stations that are under development. Those are all paid by the debt service fund.
Why don't we just buy those outright?
Well, in the debt service fund, in our presentations, we usually have a graph that shows that we do cash fund a lot of our projects, and then we debt service other projects. So it's, right now we're kind of at half and half. We try to never go more than 1/3 cash and 2/3 debt. So we look at the the interest rate environment, what kind of project it is, what's the useful life of it, boring stuff, to determine to cash or debt finance.
Yeah.
Shifting gears a little bit here.
Sure.
Last night we did the Facebook Live,
Yes.
talking a lot about social media, town hall, and all that, and we covered the history. But talk a little bit about the engagement process that we have each year for residents to give their input on the budget.
Yeah, we do. We kicked it off, I think, on June 1st was our first DAB meeting at DAB 3. So we start with DAB meetings in June.
What's district advisory
district
board,
advisory board. Yes, my kids think that we're dancing, doing the DAB.
Do you want to do it?
No.
What's a dab?
What's a dab? Who wants to dab? It's true. No, it's not. Yeah, it's not that kind of a meeting. So we go to those district advisory board meetings. The online budget simulator has been live since early June, so that'll be live through the end of the month.
So question on that, we've gotten questions or concerns about you can move certain departments on the simulator more than others,
Yes.
and that's really an educational tool. But could you talk about the simulator just a little bit?
Yeah, you bet. So it's an educational tool. It's also a good way to register your preferences, and there's a comments at the end, which I read through a lot of them yesterday. They're really interesting and thoughtful feedback. So what Megan is mentioning is that there's some things you can decrease by 5 or 10%, and then some things are by 1 or 2%. And we did those because those services that are 1 or 2%, just the scale of them is so much bigger. So one of them is police patrol services, which is $50 million.
Right.
So if you wanted to increase it by 5 or 10%, you couldn't, because there's not enough other things you can decrease enough to offset that change. So
even though it's not equitable in percentages, maybe it's equitable in terms of like amount of monies.
Right. And also too, I was at a DAB and somebody said, but I can only move around this much money. I want to move around the whole budget. And I thought that was interesting feedback, simply because most of the time when we're facing a deficit, the amount of money that there is for you to move around in the simulator is pretty typical of the options that are presented to the city council.
Yeah.
So we usually don't start from scratch. We just, maybe we'll do something less, or maybe when we do have more revenue than was forecasted, maybe we do a little bit more, but we usually don't start from scratch with new things. So I think it's pretty typical of our process.
Yeah, but it's just one tool that we use too. We
Yeah.
use multiple tools and engagement opportunities.
Right.
And the new one we have this year is Forum.
Right, that's new. Right, I've checked in there too to see what people are talking about, and Naomi does a great job keeping that conversation going. So, and then I think something that changed in 2020 is the budget. It's so funny because I'll tell people I have a budget retreat tomorrow, and they're like, "Where are you going?" And I'm like, "To the first floor." So we have them all in this building. I don't know why we call them retreats per se, because they're definitely like not woodsy or spa-like, but in 2020, because of the pandemic, we started having all of those online.
Yeah.
So I've heard from other people like, "Oh, we never do our budget working sessions on TV. We never post those." I'm like, it's all there, even the materials.
Wichita is a little bit weird about how open we are about that stuff. A lot of cities cringe because they're like, well, this is our working meeting, it's not, it's just for internal conversations, but we've just opened it all up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like 3 hours of standing there answering lots of questions. It's a quiz show, but
you do a good job.
Yeah, it's fun. But so I don't, since it's just broadcast, there's no way to engage per se, but the materials are all there. People do watch them because they tell me. I'm always kind of flattered, but I think the appropriate way to provide feedback is, would be to email your council member and say, I watched the meeting and I'm supportive of this, or what do you think about that? So I think it gives everyone a fair level playing field, that everyone has access to the same information. So, and then of course our budget's online. It's in the library even, which my kids think is cool because it's like I've been published. So we've got options.
And I mean, if you're looking for some light reading, the budget book.
Yes.
I mean, check that out.
I think during the big read a few years ago, one of their books was like a heavy read. I was like,
do we have a heavy?
If we
read
have a
for
heavy
you?
read for you, literally heavy read. Yeah.
There's infographics. There's pictures.
Not many.
Oh, there's some. Some of the questions we get, it's just like, well, what is this category? And it's like, there is no easy way to explain it. It's on pages 56 through 72.
Yeah, I think we had, there was some about the other revenue.
The other revenue.
And the other revenue.
We have a table, but like you have to it's so many pages long. So yeah, there's a lot of complicated, in-depth things. And, I'm going to admit this. Before I joined the city, I never read our budget book. So
I'm so shocked.
I know.
Yeah.
How could you not?
I know.
I think that's something that everybody should do.
Definitely. It should be required.
Yeah. I've been on a few interview panels where people have read the budget book first, and I was very impressed.
That's one way to do it.
Yeah.
And it's, sometimes people ask questions and we're like, well, we're doing that. That's great feedback, but let me tell you like what's in the budget. Let me tell you what we're doing. So,
but it's interesting. So, we all have our different professional organizations that are part of, and in finance, it's called GFOA, the Government Finance Officers Association, and they have a distinguished budget award that we submit for every year. And so the budget, one of the categories is your budget as a financial plan, but also it's really our annual strategic plan. Really is what does the city planning on doing next year, just by reading the transmittal letter and the budget issues, and then it's a communications device. So there's a lot in there, and I actually peer review other budgets. Yes. So I read about 12 of them a year.
That's amazing.
It is interesting, but you can, once you get the hang of it, you can really get a feel for a community, what their priorities are. Are they financially sustainable? Those sorts of things. So,
well, and the budget process itself, from all of the meetings that you go to and do to the stuff on social and communications, like that's been recognized by other cities too.
Yeah, we've been invited to speak at conferences before, which is flattering and exciting, and just about how to engage residents. And it's interesting too, because with the state of Kansas, we have we have a lot of forms that we turn in, and then we have mandated budget hearings, and then also you publish a notice in your newspaper of record, which is, and now we also publish the notice online, which makes it a little easier to read because it's so small. But I think that those were very much I think those are all good processes,
Yeah.
but I think a lot of staff, not just at the city of Wichita, is like, there's got to be another way. People are busy. Let's do more of this. So
we're always looking for different ways to
Yeah.
engage. You know,
Doing
we've
a good job.
expanded to forum, and we boost things to try to get more awareness. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend you, but budget isn't the sexiest topic for most people.
yeah, and it's the thing that puts everything together, though,
Yeah.
right? It is what puts it all together at one place, and it's especially when we're talking about the general fund and then the debt service fund for the CIP. There's so many different planning processes and priorities and feedback that we get. How do we put it all into one budget? It's a challenge.
It is.
So,
Well, you
but
do a good job in outreach.
You had briefly mentioned some of the hearing dates that the council has to have. Talk about those hearing dates and when the final budget has to be approved.
right. So the budget will be presented on July 12th, which is a Tuesday, at the regular city council meeting. And then we will have an evening public hearing on a Thursday, which is kind of unusual. Not on a Tuesday, but on a Thursday at 7 o'clock. And that is not a mandated meeting. That is a meeting that we've added to our schedule just to give people an opportunity to, the budget comes out in mid-July, gives people plenty of time to look through it and then come and ask questions rather than expect people to read it in 2 days.
That is August 4th at
August
7 p.m.
4th, 7 p.m., Thursday, City Council Chambers. Right.
I will be there.
You'll be there. Yes, and
'Cause I
if you're
have to
not
be.
there, you can come watch it, right?
Yeah.
And then we have 2 more on August. August 23rd is when it gets adopted, and then a week before we have another public hearing. So if my math is right, I think that would be August 16th, both at the City Council meeting.
Yeah.
So
Be out here at the Council Chambers, City Hall, 455
City-
North Main. And they will be broadcast on Channel 7, Cox Channel City 7, and on YouTube. So
Yeah. All right, we like to end with dad jokes.
Oh.
Do you have a dad joke? You have kids.
I know, I do.
And your husband regularly does dad jokes.
Jokes,
I know.
yes. Yeah, yes. And we even gave him a box of dad jokes for Father's Day. So we're going to keep it going. It's a dad joke game, but I kind of tuned it out, honestly. I let it be their thing.
Right.
Let's see. Why did they invite the mushroom to the party?
Because he's a fun guy.
That's right.
very nice.
I'm the fun killer. I like to guess them. All right.
Hold
all
my
right.
paper this way so you can see
All
it.
right.
Go ahead. I'll
Oh,
let you go
okay.
next.
I've got one. Okay. How do you handle redheads?
I can't say it on the podcast.
Gingerly.
Oh, that's sweet.
I have one more. Okay. What game do they play in space?
I don't know.
Monopoly.
Monopoly. I have one like that, though. How do you put a baby astronaut to sleep?
Oh, I don't know.
You rock it.
Oh, nice.
That's a
good.
sweet one.
I'm
That's
gonna-
a sweet. That's a sweet.
Yeah, my wife's due in September, so I'm going to have to use that one for
Oh,
my
you'll have
girls.
your own baby astronaut.
Yes, my baby astronaut.
Oh, I like it.
So, okay, when does a sandwich cook?
I don't know.
When it's bacon, lettuce, and tomato. When it's bacon, lettuce, and tomato. When does a sandwich cook?
Okay.
Too fancy.
I don't know about that one.
Oh, come on. When I first heard that one, I was busting up.
At least it's not your knick-knack paddywhack.
Knick-knack, paddywhack.
That was a
I
good
thought that
one.
was
That
good.
was solid.
All right, I'll do one that's finance related. How about that?
Okay.
Okay, what does a dinosaur use to pay bills?
I don't know.
Tyrannosaurus checks.
Okay.
Oh, good.
All right. That makes sense.
Yeah, we try to go.
There we go.
We really encourage ACH.
All right, real quick, Elizabeth, before we leave, can you tell people where they can find more information about the budget
Yeah.
or give their feedback?
Yeah, sure. So if you go to wichita.gov, right on the banner, you can go to the budget simulator, right, wichita.gov. Or on Facebook, you can follow us there.
City of Wichita.
And you'd probably find the social media town hall topics at the
Yep.
top.
Also City of Wichita on Twitter
Yep.
and And
And then if you go to wichita.gov, there's a social media hub, and it'll
There's a
take you to
social media.
forum.
Yep.
or you can come to all those meetings.
Very good.
So many options.
So
We're ready for you. I feel like it's like a pledge drive. We're on standby waiting for your feedback. Yeah.
All the people in the background getting ready to answer the phone.
Yeah. Light up those phones. Give us your budget ideas.
Elizabeth, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for all your help supporting the budget process. We really appreciate it.
Good job.
All right, and thank you for watching or listening, whatever format you are reaching us at. And if you would like to send us a comment or give us some feedback, please do so at social@wichita.gov. And again, thanks for watching.